ghosties, I have two spooky, true paranormal stories today. Here is all of my social media. And if you aren't yet subscribed, you can subscribe to join my cemetery of ghosts. And if you're active and stuff, you can win a boo basket when I hit 1,000 subs. Let's get into these stories. Story 1 is titled Old Apartment, and this one comes from Reddit user timeweep. I live in apartments that were built in the 40s, so I can't imagine how many people have lived and died here. I've experienced many accounts with this apartment since I moved in 3 years ago. When I came to look at it, I didn't feel anything then, but it wasn't till moving day that I didn't feel alone. I had my infant daughter with me, but it still felt like someone was watching me. I felt so uneasy the first night. It sounds like you could hear someone walking in the living room, which kept me up. As time went on, that uneasy feeling got worse. I was taking a shower. The lights in the bathroom had 4 light bulbs, so it was pretty bright in there. As I was showering, I noticed how dark it had gotten. I looked to my left at the curtain, and the shadow figure moved like it noticed that I was looking at it, and it got brighter. That's so odd. I've never seen something like that before, and it scared me to the point where I didn't want to shower at night or when I was alone. 2, my daughter was at her grandma's and I was home alone. I was cleaning but couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me intensely. It felt like it was following close behind me as I moved through the apartment. There were times when I could feel it on the ceiling looking down at me. Even at night I could feel it there. My daughter confirmed it because she used to stare at the ceiling watching it move around. That's horrifying, and kids can see so much creepy shit. 3, I opened my closet door and felt the floor sink in beside my foot, followed by the creaking sound of the floor. 4, I was in my bedroom with my daughter. I was kneeled down to my daughter's level when out of my peripheral I could see a dark shadow figure with yellow eyes standing in the living room looking over at us. My daughter pointed at it and said, "Look, it's a scary monster." That is so freaky. One time my mom's friend, like her little baby was like a little baby. I was playing with him on the floor, and out of my peripheral vision I seen like a woman, like a full like shadow woman, and I thought it was my mom. And like I looked over and no one was there. Really creepy to me, but that is so like a million times scarier. Mind you, I wasn't wearing my glasses or contacts. I'm nearsighted, but those yellow eyes stood out clearly. I noticed that it goes from the bathroom to the living room, stopping by the kitchen entry and just stand back facing the wall like it's looking at something. I kept hearing walking my first night, and it would stop in the same spot. The spot is where it stood looking at us. The floor creaks really bad. At this point, I'm paranoid. I asked my mom to call my grandma and pray for me. Grandma's prayers get there a little faster than mine. Things get a little better. 5, the most vivid dream I've ever experienced. The layout of my bedroom was exactly the same, and my daughter was even there, playing with toys on the floor, which was strange since I've never had a dream with her in it before. I was laying across the bed and sat up because I was hearing a swishing sound like these loud parachute pants. I was looking at the bedroom door that led to the living room, and it was coming towards us pretty fast, but I couldn't see anything. The sound kept coming, but there was a pair of baby shoes coming towards us, 1 foot in front of the other, moving on their own, until I remembered to rebuke it like my grandma told me. I said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." The sound stopped and the shoes fell back, sitting straight up like someone's feet were in them. My daughter could hear them too because we both watched them. My dream ended shortly after. 6, it was winter, snow and ice on the ground. The lights had went out, so it was freezing cold inside. We were co-sleeping and I had a dream. I was talking to a shadow person in a dark room, hands folding like I was pleading. It had the voice of a friend of mine. It pointed past me saying, "Your daughter is cold." I turned around in my dream, which I turned around out of my sleep at the same time in my bed. My daughter was behind me with no cover on her. Cold. That's freaky though. How is that possible? I don't know, but since I've been here, I'm more spiritually in tune. I later found out through my aunt and uncle, who used to live in the same apartment, that a lady hung herself in the closet. That's why I felt the floor sink by my foot. That is so creepy. Oh my god, what? Now, the one in the bedroom I always felt like was a man. I don't know, just a feeling. There's the one that was most active and was the figure with the yellow eyes. I used sage to cleanse my apartment, leaving the front door open to let them out, which I didn't do when I first moved in. Since then, I haven't felt that uneasy feeling. I know that they are watching me, but their presence isn't as strong as it once was. I'm actually comfortable now. Side note, I had another dream that my child's father, we aren't on good terms, was living with us, and I found some girl's hair on the floor indicating he has someone there, and he was acting sheepish, like he didn't want to own up to it. The very next day he called me. We speak once a year and it's never about his child. Asking could he stay with me? I saw that as a sign, not like I was actually going to tell him yes, but a sign still. This next story is titled Ouija Board Gone Wrong. These are always my favorite stories, and this one comes from Reddit user matajulietas. I wanted to share a paranormal story, not something that happened to me directly, but to my ex-wife. When she was about 17 years old, she and her friends started playing with a Ouija board, as many curious and reckless teenagers do. At first, they asked silly, trivial questions, and to their surprise, the board would respond with accurate answers. Then they moved on to asking about boys that they liked, crushes, relationships, typical teenage stuff. After a few nights, they started to ask deeper, more unsettling questions. They asked who or what they were talking to. Sometimes the board would say something like, "I am a woman who lived in the 1850s. Other times it claimed to be a 13-year-old boy who died in the 1970s. The answers were inconsistent, but oddly it always felt like the same presence. Eventually they asked why the identity kept changing, and the board spelled out, "I am whoever I want to be. Today I can be an old man, tomorrow a child." This story is freaking me the fuck out, and Oliver isn't here, and I have been recording my stories at night. At that point, they started to feel seriously uneasy, like they were no longer dealing with something innocent or random. Oliver's back, guys. Now I'm very happy. It implied something powerful, maybe even evil. One night they asked, "How do you take people?" And the board answered by choking them. That was when fear really set in. They decided to stop playing. Sometime shortly after, my ex-wife came home one evening to find that her parents and younger brothers had gone out to a party and wouldn't be home for a few hours. She didn't want to be alone in her room where the Ouija board was, so she stayed in her parents' bedroom instead, waiting for them to return. She turned on all the lights in the house. This was the early 90s, so no cell phones. She lay on the bed watching TV, trying to distract herself. After a while, she noticed a hallway light turning on by itself. That had never happened in her house before. She was terrified but got up and turned it back on. As soon as she lay back down, it turned off again. Her mom kept a Bible in the nightstand, so she grabbed it, opened it to a random page, and began reading out loud. Suddenly, she felt overwhelmingly tired, so much so that she could barely keep her eyes open. She tried to fight it. She turned the TV volume up, kept reading, but eventually dozed off. She woke up minutes later to find the Bible no longer in her hands, but beside her. She grabbed it again and kept reading. I always asked her why she didn't just run outside, but she said she was too scared to leave the room, to run down that dark hallway. Eventually, she fell asleep again, only to wake up to a terrifying sensation. Something was grabbing her ankles. She felt it moving slowly up her legs, over her shins, over her thighs, her waist, until it reached her throat, and then it began choking her. The lights were still on, but there was nothing visible in front of her. She said she started kicking, gasping, struggling. Then she remembered her mom also kept a crucifix in the nightstand. She wrestled her way to the drawer, found it, clutched it to her chest, and started praying. Please, God, help me. I swear I'll never play with that thing again. And then whatever was choking her suddenly let her go. She ran out of the house and waited by the curb until her parents came home. When she told them what happened, they dismissed it as a nightmare. Still, she was so shaken she refused to sleep alone and spent the night in her parents' bed. The next day, exhausted from lack of sleep, she tried to nap in her room around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Not long after lying down, she felt something tugging at her foot of her blanket. She assumed it was her dog until it persisted. When she looked, she saw what she can only describe as a boy around 8 to 10 years old, but no taller than 18 inches. He had a child's face, but his body was small, proportioned like an adult in miniature. He stood at the foot of her bed, just staring. No smile, no expression. His dark hair was neatly combed to the side. He wore a one-piece garment, almost like a toga. She was so shocked she couldn't scream. Then after a few seconds, the small figure walked into her closet. She bolted from the room and ran to her parents. Again, they didn't believe her. Her dad checked the closet. Nothing. That night, while trying to sleep, the closet door slowly opened, just a few inches. Nothing came out, but it moved. She ran to her parents' room again. The next day, before going to bed, she tied the closet door shut with a cable. That night, she heard the door slowly tugging, then violently shaking, like something was trapped inside. The following day, one of the girls she had played the Ouija board with came over. She wanted to ask the board something about her boyfriend, suspecting he was cheating. My ex told her, no, something really bad happened. I don't want it here anymore. Please take it. But the friend begged, just one more time. Reluctantly, my ex agreed. They sat down, placed their hands on the planchette, and before they could even ask a question, the board began spelling out my ex's name. Pamela, remember your promise to God. Don't break it, because next time I'll take you. That was the last straw. She threw the board away. Years later, when I first met her, she still lived in that house. She actually showed me the closet handles where she had tied the cables. You could see the wear, the scratch marks, like something had been trying to force its way out. For years, she refused to watch horror movies or even hear the word Ouija. And for a long time, we slept with a lamp on, just in case. After she got rid of the board, nothing else ever happened, but the fear stayed with her. That one was crazy. I love Ouija board stories so much. I have to make like a third part to all the Ouija board themed videos I've made. I love it. But that one was honestly one of the creepiest ones. Vlog next Tuesday of everything me and Ollie did for our anniversary. It was so fun and it was so nice. And I am so excited to be able to watch that back in the future. And then after that, we'll have one where we did some Halloween hunting and went to Starbucks, and stories every Friday, as always. Like, comment down below, and subscribe. You can join my Discord if you want to come and talk to us and have fun and play random games and smoke. If you have your own Reddit stories you would like to submit, I have my own Reddit and the links are always down below in the description. Stay spooky, guys. Bye!